So as we look at the labels on the Tito's restaurant locations, one of the things that we notice about each label is that the third number is a little bit vague as to what it is. It looks kind of like a zip code even though it represents the restaurant's sales. And it's pretty easy to go and change that and put in a caption. But before we do that, let's export the data with a mile around each of these objects. And it's pretty easy to do that. The first thing we can do is make the rings. And we just go to make sure this is the current layer, and then go to the Objects menu and say Copy Objects. And we're going to copy the objects, all of the roster objects, and there are 19 restaurant locations here. And we're going to copy them to a new areas layer, which we're going to say half a mile and 1 mile. And if notice up here it says you can aggregate data either by concentric areas or by component subareas, which are the bands between 0.5 and 1 and up to 0.5. So let's do that. And we'll leave all this other stuff the same as its default. And then we say copy. And this will give us an opportunity to call this half-mile bands. And we will put this into our Tito's Tacos folder here and say OK. And now it has actually made these. You can see there's a hint of a circle around Tito Wong's place in Culver City. And if you zoom in on it a little bit, the rings will pop out. And now that we've got them, we can just go to the Data menu and choose Export Data. And we'll say All Raster Objects and choose Annulus Areas, which is the term for these bands. And you can see there are 38 of them, which is 2 times 19. And say Next. And now we have the fun part, which is choosing the data that we want to take out. And I would suggest that we take out some data from the demographic profile that everyone has got. And we will pick households and average family size and scroll down and get some income data so we can see whether or not we can maybe charge more for tacos in neighborhoods that can afford them. And then we'll just get these 7 data items, and we might as well save this. We'll just save it as Tito's data extract, and we'll choose save. So the next time we come in, we'll be able to pick that and do it again. And then we'll put this into our project folder that we've been doing of Tito's Tacos. And we will call this half-mile bands demographics. And click select and export. You can go out in various types of file, you can see, but we'll just export it into its, and there it is. So these are little links. You can click on it and it comes up, and you can see here is the site caption, which we've given to the manager, and R0 is the inner and R1 is the half-mile annulus, and here you can see the number of households, the average family size per household, and the household income. So that's how you export data. It's pretty easy around rings. Now let's get back to what we were going to do. I'll say save that. In relating to customizing the label. So if we go to Map Layers, and we don't need these rings anymore. We can just go back to these guys. And here are the object labels. So we can go into the object label, and this is a content label, and we didn't put a tag on here. So we're going to say, for this tag, we're going to enter a tag, and it'll say sales in dollars. And say OK, and then we see that that is labeled with what it is. Now the other thing is these labels are centered right on top of the object. So if we go up to the Object Manager and select all of these objects, we can make these labels automatically positioning so that, not hide, but set the label to auto, and that'll put them not on top of the symbol, but off to the side. And that's almost perfect. About the only thing we have left to do is to make the map background white so that it will obscure the fact that these are white squares. So once we do that, we have a nice map. It's ready to print and show where the sales totals and phone numbers and the data that we've put on here, and we have a nice exported data set to go with it that we can study and see where taco prices can be increased and where they need to be lowered to match the demographics of the area.